Welcome to the Gameplan Online, Episode 3. We've got Paul Mitchell, our regular panellist here, and special guest for today is Barmera-Monash A-grade coach Dean Schumann. Welcome, Dingo.
Thanks for the invite, guys.
I imagine you'd be pretty excited about the way the boys got over the line on Anzac Day against Waikerie in the grand final rematch, mate. It was a pretty stirring win by the sounds of it.
It was. It's never a nice task to travel down to Waikerie at the best of times, but yeah, I guess with the outs that we had, it was even that little bit sweeter as well. But a lot of blokes really stood up, which is tremendous.
Yep, for sure. What's the dynamic of the team like now? I mean, in the past, last year they had a lot of hard midfielder type players, Self and Greenwoods who are gone now. You brought in a few big guys. Has that sort of altered the way the team played from last year, do you think?
Yeah, it has. I guess the forward line structure has completely changed.
Yeah.
When you've got a vocal at centre forward, it makes it a hell of a lot easier and straightens you up, I suppose. So you're not playing as wide. We've still got plenty of grunt in the guts as well. So I think we're pretty well complemented all over the ground.
Yeah, good.
With that win last week, I mean, obviously going to every game expecting and hoping to win, but a first up loss against Berry and then taking on the reigning premiers at Waikerie, you must have just been wrapped with the effort down there.
Yeah, I mean it was probably one of the things that I think the mindset was a lot better against Waikerie because the guys knew that they had to turn up and beyond. Whereas I guess with the Berry game, a lot of the guys probably went on from last year thinking that they were easy beats as such.
Yeah.
And and our mindset was on that line, and obviously Berry came out and shown us how to play footy, and they deserved their win. But the guys were switched on in the Waikerie game, so you could tell that it was going to be a good day.
Because on paper, at least, it'd been a long time since Barmera hasn't had one of those Millard boys in the team, and you had some other guys out as well. So must have just had a complete team effort from all the guys.
Yeah, it was. You never want to say your worst best player, I suppose, but the guys right across the board all contributed in some way.
Yeah.
So that's probably the pleasing part, that we weren't relying on a handful of blokes to get us across the line.
Yeah. Were you impressed with Berry in round one, the way they went about it? Yeah,
look, Berry, they're very big-bodied lads, which caught us off guard a little bit. So they played a pretty good brand of footy. So they'll trouble most sides.
And how do they compare to Waikerie?
It's probably pretty hard to compare one side to the next. Obviously we played a lot better. If we had played like the Waikerie game against Berry, how the scores would have altered, it's only anyone's guess. It's pie in the sky stuff, but it's really hard to compare one week from the next.
Yeah. What about standard-wise? You were back here, back a few years ago. You've seen 2 matches now. You've seen your boys all summer. What's the standard of the RFL like back to when you were playing here? Can you make a comparison there, Dingo?
Yeah, probably. I would say the best 5 are very similar.
Yeah.
The next 5, it starts to fall away a little bit, and the last 5 is probably the big difference.
From back when you were here?
Yeah, it was a lot stronger. The 15th, 16th pick, 10 years ago, however long ago it was, about 14 years ago now, I suppose.
Yeah.
But they were a lot stronger back then.
So the depth in the clubs isn't what it was, and I guess that's reflected in the B-grade comp a bit as well?
I think so, yes. Yeah. And I seen the grand final last year, and I guess it's probably hard to think back that long ago, but the grand finals of yesteryear were a lot harder, contests and so forth. So yeah.
Any of your young guys that have really stood up so far that you've been particularly impressed with?
Oh yeah, look, there's been quite a few blokes that have stood up. Young Sullivan, he's been very good. Having said that, he probably didn't get a huge run against Berry for the simple fact was he didn't match up well because he's only a small lad.
Yeah.
So we thought he'd needed a full run in the unders, which he did on Saturday, but and acquitted himself very well then. So his attitude's right. There's a lot of guys, young lads that we will be rotating through there. But,
what about young Burton? Gee, he showed some really good signs last year and looks a real class player.
He's probably he's a very good change-on baller, and I guess it's probably one of those things that we're trying not to expect too much from him because he is a young lad. But yeah, his 2 games have been pretty solid.
Yeah, and you've got 5 or 6 guys who can still play under 18s. Is that right?
Yeah.
Playing A-grade? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and that's just a sign of the times, I suppose. That you just haven't got the depth there.
Yeah.
I think if you go through anyone's reserve sides, and there's probably only 2 or 3 that could possibly sneak in. You've got a few older ones and so forth, but you sort of can't really rely on them to be playing 4 quarters of footy. Yeah, they're okay to be a pinch hitter, but and that's where I guess most clubs lean towards their younger guys.
Yeah. And from what I understand, you're a pretty demanding coach as far as fitness and what you expect of the boys. Has there been any lads that sort of you had to pull in the line over the pre-season?
Look, there's always those sort of blokes that, I guess if you give them an inch, they'll try and take a mile, sort of thing. But
come on, we want some names here. Come on.
Look, most of them have been pretty good on a whole, and I guess I have at different stages had to raise my voice and get a bit angry, which most of you know I'm a pretty angry little fella anyway at the best of times, but last night was the same. Training, we weren't that switched on, so threw the balls away and did some sprints, and we come off a great win, but that doesn't mean nothing for this week, so it doesn't give us 1 score. So
what can you tell me about the role Ryan Vills is playing? Good mate of mine, been playing with the Roos this season.
Look, he's been great. He's probably I think it's probably 2 years since he's been involved with the club in some capacity, but his knowledge on football as a general has been tremendous, and he's been a huge help to me. So it's always good to bounce ideas off of guys, because you might think but it's always good to have that second opinion to know exactly that we're heading in the right direction. And
of course you've got Jason Kasolki doing the B-grade this year as well, big Kazza.
Yeah. Look, he's just a very likeable lad. He just loves his footy. He loves the footy club. I think if he was cut, he'd bleed the colours of the club. But he's really got the enjoyment factor back in the twos, and there's some guys there that are playing that probably haven't been interested in playing with the club for a few years. So he's been excellent.
Oh, good one.
Good. Now, just a little bit off topic, but I think it's this weekend that your old mate Robert Price, plays his 400th game up at Moringa. There's still a special bond there between you guys. You guys are always pretty close, weren't you? And got any stories you might be able to tell us about Pricey?
Probably not a lot of the stories I can tell here. A few beers we might be able to run through those, but look, we all know what Pricey's like. He's just infectious. Everyone loves him, and he actually was at the Berry game, and he wanted he did a little interview with me, just so that he had, and he was doing it with a few other guys as well, sort of thing. Just for his own personal use, I suppose. But he's just a likeable lad, and everyone likes him, and no one would have a bad word to say against Pricey. But plenty of stories. Don't worry about that.
Most of them after hours, no doubt.
Yeah.
So we'll quickly run through this week's games, guys. So first off, we'll start off with the Barmera-Monash versus Renmark game. So obviously we spoke about the against the odds win for the Roos. Will we see Dylan and Danny back in the side, the Millard boys? Dylan's obviously got the Achilles and Danny's got the hamstring.
Yeah. Look, I'd love to say yes right now, but they didn't complete training last night, but they did train, so it's a good sign. They weren't completely free of pain as such, so we'll just have to see how it pans out in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Anyone else to potentially come into the side who've out injured or unavailable?
Possibly not. No. Young Butters, he's got a call up to West Adelaide, so he'll be out, which he was tremendous for us. He was probably another young lad that really stood up. He was across half forward, and then we moved him to half back, and he gave us a lot of drive from back there. But so he'll be missed. But look, where there's one door shuts, another one opens, so
Sure.
give someone else an opportunity.
And Kenny, obviously, young Kenny Carpenter's another one. Is he back this week, or is he still down there?
I would doubt it.
Yeah.
He didn't get in their best. He kicked a goal. They got flogged pretty well, so you just don't really know. I would doubt whether
We'll find out Thursday night or Friday.
Yeah, probably late tomorrow. They will find out, hopefully.
Yeah, fair enough.
And for Renmark, they had a few injuries on the weekend. Justin Bollenhagen did his hamstring, and then he's expected to miss a few games. And Jake Blackwell got concussed. And Brodie Rosa's another out, and he's kicked 6 goals for him so far this season. They've lost a couple of close ones at them so far, Renmark, and they could end up coming back to haunt them. I think you guys might get up just, Dingo.
Yeah.
Back is in. Only just so. Again, I reckon Renmark might lose 3 in a row, just in another close one, unfortunately, for them.
I saw a bit of that Renmark, not much, but a bit of that Renmark Loxton North game, and Renmark looked okay, and they looked to be. They lost by only a few goals in the end, but they were right with Loxton North, and they certainly had their share of the footy. So yeah, look, probably another close one, but I'll go for the Roos at home as well.
Yep.
And of course, you're going to tip Barmera-Monash.
Yeah, look, then we can't take them lightly because they haven't, as much as they've lost their last 2, but they haven't been shaken. They've sort of been into it right to the very end. So, I'm tipping the same that they'll be right there and pushing us, which is a good thing. We don't want any sides to be easy beats as such, and they're definitely not going to be one of them.
Sure. Mitch, you want to run us through Waikerie and Loxton?
Yeah, just quickly, we've got Waikerie and Loxton. Of course, last week, both teams coming off a loss last week. Michael Bratton out with a broken arm for how many weeks did you think, Nick?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'd probably think at least 6 to 8. You'd have to say with a broken arm, but you never know. It depends on the severity of it. So it was the ulnar. I know that, but yeah, I'm not sure how long for.
So that's a blow for them. Of course, a real class player, as we all know. And then Loxton, Bryce Williams, and Shay Lange out as well. Nick?
Yeah, they missed the first, or after the first week, they missed the weekend. Just gone
right
with injuries.
How long will they be out for?
Yeah, so we're not sure how long they're going to be out for Loxton.
Yeah.
And that, they were obviously down last week, which is. They wouldn't have been happy with the big loss like that. So both teams will be looking to bounce back, and really another one like Dingo was just saying, where we could be looking at another tight match, which points to another tight even season with all 6 teams having a chance against each other every week, which is what we want. Yep, definitely. As far as tips go, it's a tough one to tip. I'm going to go with Loxton. Just not sure why, but I think Bratton's a big out for them. For Waikerie, he's a really big out. So
look, I'll tip Waikerie because I can't see them losing 2 in a row at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same boat. I don't think Loxton will be real keen to go zipping 3, but I think that's the way it's going to pan out. Waikerie will come back pretty hard, I'd reckon.
Yep. Next game, Loxton North and Berry, top of the table clash. Both teams at the moment 2-0, which is probably the first time these two have gone into a top of the table clash for a long, long time. I mean, North's been up there and Berry's been up there at various times, but never both together. So now we know Berry have got quite a few outs this week. They've got a wedding, and I know Lefty's been desperately trying to get onto a few of the boys and get them to cancel, or not cancel the wedding, but cancel their appearance there. And North have got some big ins. Michael Arnold, Josh Voigt, Barry Kaysler, 3 big ins straight up the spine. And but they'll miss Anton Cook down back. I think with his back, he's expected to miss a couple of weeks. But the one bloke I wanted to talk about was Tim Arnold. And he's been running around in the 2s now. He obviously copped a few head knocks back in the day. He had to wear the helmet and quite a few concussions. But I'll tell you what, if they could get him up and firing for the A-grade, that's a big in for Loxton North because he can seriously play.
Yeah, I didn't realise that, Nick. No.
Yeah, he ran around the 2s last week, I think, and the week before, and I saw him in the trial game having a kick, and when I recognised him, I just couldn't believe it because I didn't think he'd play again. But interesting one there.
Yeah, very good player.
Dingo, tip, mate. How do you reckon we'll get up here?
Well, I work with Wooly, I suppose, so I better tip Loxton North. But look, it depends on how the matchups go. Like Berry have surprised us with their size, but I think Loxton North have got the cattle to compensate that, so I'll stick with Loxton North.
And look, I'll go North in a tight one as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go North purely on the potential outs for Berry. If they all miss, then I think North will be too strong. So Mitch, you want to run through the 2 independent games?
Yeah, okay. We've got Moorook Kingston, the premiers. They're at home for the second week in a row, and they take on Lurup. Had quite a few out last week. Moorook, 6 or 7 out, and they'll get at least some of those back this week, I understand. And Lurup, Tyson Lindsay, Nick?
Yeah, there's a bit of a contract issue with Tyson. He's contracted to, I think, Kadena in the York Peninsula. Now, I'm not sure why they're withholding, but Lurup would be desperate to get him into their side because he can seriously play.
Yep.
Whether it's before this weekend or not, I'm not sure. But they should get Dan Hill back this week, I think, Lurup at least, and which is a big in for them.
All right. Well, look, even despite those players coming back, and we know how good Tyson Lindsay would be in this competition, I'll tip Moorook in that one. Do you guys want to have a tip as well?
Yeah, I'll get on Moorook as well. Yep.
I'll go Lurup just to throw a spanner in the works.
All right, and now last game, Ramco. There's only 2 matches this weekend, by the way. 3 teams having a bye. Is Ramco versus Paringa down at Ramco. Ramco looking much better this year. Word is they've got Max Baddock back for you to have to handle, Nick.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Good luck with that, mate. And Paringa off to a good start with a really big win last week. So back on deck, the Swans, and I reckon the Swans might beat Ramco in this one. Nick, you're going to tip Paringa. Now you're going to tip Ramco to beat Paringa just to...
No, I reckon Paringa have got a pretty good coach, so I reckon he'll get him across the line. But it'll actually be a good game. I was talking to a few of the Wakery boys, and they reckon that Ramco are up and about. So
yeah, it sounds like it.
So yeah, but,
and it's good for the club because I know obviously they really struggled last year. They didn't get a win, and now they've picked up quite a few guys from town and just brought a few of the other old guys back to the club as well.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's all panning out pretty well down there.
Yeah, but no, you guys will get up.
Let's hope so. All right, well that's it from us. Thanks for coming along, Dingo.
Yeah, thanks,
appreciate you sharing your time with us, and that's it from us here for episode 3 of the Game Plan Online. See you next week.
Bye.